Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Slumber Party. I am your host, Amanda Jewson. I am a sleep expert, and I help people sleep independently, which is great because we have Petra today joining us. She is a listener with probably one of the most common questions I get. So if you're listening because you're like, oh my God, that's me. Yeah, I know. It's like everyone. My big disclaimer today, if you are already listening, you know the topic of this, and same with YouTube watchers, but Petra is asking about co-sleeping. And co-sleeping is one of those things where it's fairly political and controversial, and we'll talk about a lot of different things, but I will say this as a sleep expert and someone who does sleep stuff, I can never say, yes, co-sleep. I can't, because it's just like your doctor. Your doctor can't also tell you to co-sleep. I do encourage you to do a research. There is research that supports co-sleeping. There's research that doesn't. There's a great chapter in the book by Emily Oster called Crib Sheet that also talks a lot about co-sleeping. Please do your own research and know that I'm coming at this like completely non-judgmentally. I want to acknowledge the fact as well that many families happily choose co-sleeping as a sleeping option for their family. I only jump in when the parent doesn't want to be, and they're co-sleeping when they don't want to be. So if you're listening and you're like, Amanda, you're a bitch. I'm not there. Okay. I'm not coming at you in the way that is bitchy. I am, well, you're going to see my approach to all of this today, and about what we do. But I support your choice to co-sleep. It can never be what I say you should do. And always do your research. Is that a good disclaimer, Petra? A 5-minute disclaimer? Jump in. Tell me what's going on. Thank you for this question.
So it actually happened by accident. We were always the type of parents, well, pre-baby, who said we would never do this. And here we are. My daughter is 6 and my son is 3, and we just can't get them out of our bed. Yeah, it kind of just happened by accident. Like, I was very adamant about not allowing them in our bed. It kind of, I'm going to throw my husband under the bus. It happened because of my husband. Because we would do I was lucky enough to have him help on the night feedings, and because I couldn't breastfeed. And so he would do the later half of the night. And for some reason, whenever I would wake up, my son or daughter would be in the bed with us, and I'd be like, what are you doing? And then it just trickled down from there. At that point, like, just when you're in the thick of it in the middle of the night, you just sometimes you want to pick and choose your battles. And most of the time, obviously, we chose to just sleep. And now I have like 2 children who obviously don't know how to self-soothe and need us for everything. And we're just in I don't want them in my bed. So we're at a point where we need to get them out. And it's obviously like affected mine and my husband's relationship in many ways. Like the intimacy has like decreased. Obviously the stress level between the 2 of us, because we're not getting the sleep that we need. And then obviously we're always like in this who's more tired competition.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're like, ah! So, I love all of the layers that you're talking about here. And, when you talked about how, so I always say I help with accidental co-sleepers, and there are many intentional co-sleepers. And this is not your podcast. It's not for you. Carry on if you're sleeping. And I'm always a big fan of, like, if the whole family is sleeping, no matter what you're doing, whether that's co-sleeping, rocking, then carry on. The issues always start to arise when there's a member of the co-sleeping relationship that isn't enjoying the co-sleeping relationship anymore. So it might be that your husband likes it and you don't, or vice versa. or that even the child is ready to go but doesn't necessarily know how, then that's a good sign that you're ready to stop the co-sleeping relationship. And I think that when many people think about co-sleeping, they ask me, like, I'll be doing like an Instagram live or a takeover or something, and I'll be like, hey guys, give me your questions. And someone will be like, hey, some quick tips on how to stop co-sleeping. And I wish I could be like, yeah, it's ba ba ba. Like, how do I lengthen my naps? Well, this. I can tell you what that looks like. Co-sleeping is not easy because people don't realize that their physical body has become a sleep association to the child. So, like a bottle, a boob, a pacifier, rocking, your physical body, your warmth, the fact that you're there, liken it to, I'll liken it to myself, right? This is embarrassing. I wonder if I think I have talked about this on my podcast, but I slept with a stuffed pig under my arm until I moved in with my husband when I was 25. That is true. And I don't know where that everyone is like, oh my God, listen to that sleep association. And you're not wrong. It's crazy. But I did. And it was falling apart. And I really wanted to give it to my kids, but it went missing. Slash, I think my husband was like, get this the fuck out of here. We don't need to be carrying this around country to country. So yeah, I slept with a stuffed pig, and now I sleep with a pillow. I always have to sleep with a pillow. So this has become the sleep association for me. And if I don't have something to put under my pillow, I feel like I'm gonna lose it. Or you think about pre-pregnancy, I always used to sleep on my tummy, and then you're forced to sleep on your side. That I had to reteach myself, and it was agony. So these are real, true behaviors and associations that your body is a part of for them, right? So it's not easy, and like I would never give you a quick tip to just walk away with, and we're going to talk about that today. This is, I hate the word, but it will require sleep training. Now, obviously, I say this, everyone who's listening is like, oh my God, I don't want to. What am I going to do? Sleep training is removing the association. So, the great thing for you, so you said you had a 6-year old and a how old? 1-year old? 3. Okay. The great thing about older children is that there's a lot less tears because they can communicate, which is awesome. Babies cry because they can't say, hey, this sucks. I want you to stay. Come back. I want you to do that thing that you do. I don't know what I'm doing. And they're upset, right? Older kids can say, hey, this sucks. Come back. I don't like what, and so it sounds like that instead. So that's a positive and a plus for you, that there should be a lot less tears involved. So I don't want you to panic about this. For those of you with young babies who are listening or watching, there probably will be some tears involved. So it will feel like sleep training. And my caveat to talking about sleep training is that it doesn't always have to be so hardcore. It doesn't have to be extinction. You don't throw your kid into the room and be like, see you in the morning, you don't sleep with me. That's rough. That's some rough stuff. So you want a methodology and a plan to comfort and console and be with them, while you are kind of weaning yourself from their sleep dance. Because when we think about what sleep is, and when we think about when you go to sleep, there are a series of behaviors that need to happen in order for you to sleep. For me, it always includes my pillow. It includes like me going on one side. Your body is a part of your child's physical dance to sleep. So it's not easy, and it will not be a 1 day thing. It'll probably be like a week or 2 thing, but that's okay. It shouldn't be that hardcore.
So
So yeah, jump in.
my question for you is, so because they both have adopted this I guess sleep what was the word you said? Sleep association with me.
Yeah.
Uh, should I like do I tackle one like how would I kind of approach it? Would I deal with one at a time or do I
Mhm.
yeah,
That's a
so
great question. So, the first thing I want to ask you before we talk about anything is, does your partner feel the same way you do?
oh yeah, no, he's completely on board with it. Like he wants them out. But he also realizes that he is like what kind of contributed to the issue like when they were smaller. Uh, but yeah, no, he definitely he wants them out. That's for sure. We
Okay.
both are on the same page with it.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So just to your point, even to what you were saying, like, yeah, you're right. There's not as much crying about with it, but because they're able to vocalize what they're feeling, it just makes you feel that much worse
Yeah.
when you're trying to get them back in their bed and then they just like go on this like guilt trip because they
Yeah.
are verbal and they can verbalize their feelings,
Yes.
which is even
Yes.
more of like, yeah, it just makes it that much harder, I feel.
Totally. So this is a great question. Let's reframe that, guilt. So part one of your question, I would tackle one at a time. I would probably start with your oldest one. She'll be the she she'll yeah, she'll be the easiest, I think. She'll be the easiest to reason with. She'll also be probably the most willing and ready, because you can talk to, you're a big girl, you're in grade one now. These are things that you do, da da da. And that'll really speak to her. I have a 6-year old as well. When's her birthday? Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, so will she be, oh, she just turned then. She just turned 6. Got it. So you'll probably get more buy in from her. And then okay, so then I have to say, okay, this goes back to my original thought of, what do the parents want here? Let's reframe what you guys want. You guys, are you sleeping well with them? You're so funny. No, just no. Don't know. Okay, so no, your intimacy is lacking. There's stress between mom and dad. There's fighting. I'm assuming, because that would be my husband and I. Okay. There's no, like, it would just, I'm projecting. then there's, then there is, you said there's that competition, right? So these are 5 really good reasons for you why you don't want to do this. And I think what happens as we become parents, and I think our modern parenting styles, or the pressure around modern parenting, is that we give everything to our children, our bodies, our time, our breath, if we could. I read, what did I read? Oh, where did I read it? It must have been on Instagram somewhere. And someone said, I can't imagine not doing everything possible that I could for my child, and I would give them my life. And I feel like we've lost our way a little bit in terms of what we think our role is. And that might be because I always talk about the fact that we don't live in tribes anymore. We don't live in a group where we can share the responsibility of parenting. And that is the way it has always been. It has not been mom and dad full on looking at your child all day long, constant asking and talking and how are you doing and being and on. It's like that is a task that has an expiration date. Whether it's you do it now when you're of sane mind and body, or one night you're like, get the fuck out of my bed because I don't have it, right? There's an expiration point if, disclaimer, this is not what you want, because you will always your body, this is such a like interesting season where this has come up a lot. Your body responds to stress, and it will eventually get what it wants in some way, whether that's through anger or maybe, I mean, stuff happens where it's just like the baby will get out or the kids will get out. So then I have to, this is where we go back to this, they guilt me. What is good for the parent is good for the child always. I have learned this the hard way. Um, don't do what I did, because you think that, no, I have to be everything to them, or like, well, I feel so bad. My husband travels. I feel so bad. So when they're gone, I really want to make sure it's like this big thing when my husband is gone. And it's like, what my kids need? Love, food, family, and that's it. And they don't need me to put on a song and dance. They don't need me to be like, tell me about your school day in 4 sentences. I said four and put up 3 fingers. in 4 sentences. And then I'm going to really interact you and look at you in the eye. And then we're going to have a big loving conversation. It's just what we are asking of modern parents is impossible. And so I think that you have to say what's really helpful as well for children. So that's like part one. Part one is it's okay to want what you want. I want you to even just, before you make any changes for yourself, honor this part of you that says, I don't want to do this. I am giving myself permission, and that it's okay. And I think we need to get comfortable with that first, or else this guilt thing is always going to like come up for you. The other,
For sure. Even I listened to your podcast, the one you just released, the season 4, the
yeah,
first episode. It's true. Yeah, we feel like we need to be all and end all for them. And in turn, we're creating kind of monsters, because my kids are always like, oh, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? What, like, because they're always expected to, like, we're kind of creating this expectation for them. So yeah, no, I
yeah.
hear you 100%.
There's a great, I'm going to butcher her name. It's like Lenore Skanansky. It's on Dax Shepard's podcast. I'll put it in the podcast notes. She talks a lot about how, let me look it up on my phone. We can edit this out because I think this will be a good episode for you to listen to. Where are my podcasts? I'll send it to you after, but
I've listened to a few of his podcasts, so I know who you're talking about.
It's like Lenore or something. Anyway, she's about the free, oh, here we go. Lenore Skenazy. Skenazy, yeah. And she calls herself a free range parenting expert. And she talks about how modern children have more depression, anxiety, mood disorders than they've ever had in the history of children. And she thinks it's largely in part in due to this like helicopter parenting, this like need to be everything, this need to save them from feelings, from ever feeling bad, from ever doing anything dangerous. And as a result, we are limiting their capacity to be individual human beings that can do hard things. And I think this is the thing that we are not serving our children well with is, again, this does not go if you're just co-sleeping and you want to be and that's your family choice. This is, I don't want to stop this hard thing because it'll be hard for my child. This is what I'm speaking to. So whether it's co-sleeping or anything, like a friend issue, it's all the same thing. So we are doing our children a disservice by saying you can't do hard things, because there is going to be a day that you are right not next to Olivia and her friend is being a dick, and she needs to be able to do a hard thing and have some bad feelings and be with those feelings. And then get stronger because of that. And it's really hard as parents to see our children go through those experiences, but they're not unhealthy and they're not problematic. I mean, it would be different if you're like, got her, and you're saying everyone. But we're just saying, I have a plan. You're going to sleep on your own. We're going to do this pretty gradually. And in the end, you're going to be stronger for it. And I'll support you when you're sad, but we're not sleeping together. That is not a sad thing to say. And children respond so well to their parents being leaders. So I talk about this a lot, and I'm quoting Janet Lansbury, who's my guru. Janet Lansbury is a parenting expert. If you yada yada, check her podcast out called Unruffled, and she talks about how children always respond to loving, firm boundaries. What makes children feel safe and secure is that their parents say no and mean no, and that they set a boundary and they stick to it. And then that child is like, oh, these guys are in charge. They said, and they may not like it. But if you think back to, I always say this, I think back to a time when I was a child and I drove my parents so crazy asking them, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do? And they finally like gave in. That never felt good. It never felt right. I always felt like, oh, who's in charge? Like, boss me around a little bit. I don't like this. And this is an example of, I want to sleep in your bed. I want to sleep in your bed. And you go, okay, like it doesn't necessarily feel good to them. It doesn't mean that boundaries feel wonderful. It means that they are forced to do a hard thing in a safe, loving environment with parents who care about them and are just doing things respectfully.
No, for sure. Yeah. No, I think like we're like I've tried many times to get her to be in her own bed. Like so typically we like I have to sit in the room with her and she'll go to sleep in her own bed, and then at some point whenever she wakes up for whatever reason, because we wake up as humans, like as she realizes that, oh, no one, I'm not there no more. And then she comes to search for me. And then she'll try to come in my bed. And then I'm like, no, you need to go back in your bed. And like, it eventually, I do try to be strong and like be kind and like reinforce this kind. But then, when it's the sixth or seventh or eighth time, I'm usually like, babe, go sleep in the room with your daughter. Like it's, or like vice versa, or he'll get up and he'll be like, I need to sleep, like we can't do this all night. And it's like, I believe we generally want this to happen, but I think we just got to bite the bullet. And
so the other part
training kind of.
I mean, yes, it's about biting the bullet, and all of this stuff is so easy for me to say, but why it always helps to work with a consultant. And if you can't work with a consultant, this is what we do, and this is what you can do at home by yourself. We make a plan. We are not rocket scientists. We are not finding out anything you can't find on the internet. But what we can do is we do problem solve really well with you. We've seen all the shit, so we can help you. But barring all that, this is not affordable for everyone. This is not in everyone's budget. You need to sit down with your partner, and you need to sit down and write down, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do at 3 a.m. This is what we're going to do at 6:30 a.m. Here's how we're dividing the labor at night. This is what you're doing. Or if she wakes up then, you go. So it's already set out. So there's no fighting. Everyone knows what to do, because no one makes good decisions at 3 a.m. They're all bad. Me too. They're all bad. Like if my kids wake me up for a stupid reason at 3 a.m., I am not this mom. I'm a bad mom. I'm like, go to bed. Oh my God. No one's making good decisions at 3 a.m. But if I had a plan, you are not alone. And I try to be really open about that. I definitely have yelled at my kids more than one time. Um, but yeah, so you have to have that division of labor set out ahead of time. Yes, stay with her at first. Make a plan with your daughter and your 3-year-old. He'll get it. He you will wean yourself off from that and tell them when your last day in the room is. And then you got it after that. It's about, I'm not I'm not here anymore. If you come out, I'm sorry, this is like a safety and behavior issue. So there might need to be a consequence that you employ, again, that you discuss beforehand, before you make the plan. Make that a part of your plan. When this happens, we will do this. On night 7, if they're out, we're going to do this. And then make that obvious to all members of the family. That might be like when I'm working with older children, especially. I might have them in on the consultation. I might get the parents to print out what they've decided, have some charts, have some rewards, have some incentives. Incentives alone are not enough to convince your child to stay put. You need to probably have a disincentive as well if they come out. But the key thing is, and this is where everyone fails in co-sleeping for older kids or sleep training for babies, is one day you get so fed up and you say, this is it, tonight's the night. And you talk and your partner's like, yeah, it is the night. And you're like, great, we're on board. That's our plan. Let's go to bed. It's not happening. And then 3 a.m. comes and you're like, I just have to go to sleep. Just come in. It's fine. And then you have to write it down and you have to stick to it, and maybe put some incentives for you and your husband as well, where it's like, okay, if we can get through this, at the end of the week, we're going to go to Dairy Queen or you know what I mean? Like silly things.
That's a great point, because you always you think to gear towards the child, but obviously if we successfully sleep train them, then in the end it's we should reap the benefits as well, right?
Yeah.
Not only just being able to sleep, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've done all that with her. Like, it kind of worked too. Like, when the pools opened, when it was safe earlier, she's like an avid swimmer. I was like, okay, well, you're not going to go swimming if you don't stay in your bed. And so she did. She stayed in her bed. She stayed in her bed for about a week. And then I was like, she's like, but Mom, every day I was like, I stayed in my bed. Can I go swimming now? Can I go swimming now? And I'm like, no, we said, a week,
Yeah.
And then the week comes up and we let her go swimming. And then the very same night, what happened? She's trying to get in her bed.
And that's where this is where the people don't like the word consequence, because it insinuates that we're like doing something bad. But a consequence might be like, before, if you are going to come out of your bed, I'm going to have to shut your door before you go to bed. And you can have that discussion with your child beforehand. These aren't like surprise things. It has to be, the punishment has to fit the crime, right? Like, well, if you come out, I'm sorry, there's no TV. If you come out, I'm sorry, we can't do this. Have an incentive and a disincentive about why they shouldn't be doing the thing. Because the incentives only work so much, right?
No, for sure. That's why I mentioned that, because I didn't think about that. We needed a disincentive, like you said.
Yeah.
That's actually.
Yeah. So then I also want to just point out, and I'm not doing this to be spiteful or bitchy, but a lot of people will say, the baby isn't sleeping, just co-sleep. Just co-sleep. And you know what? One day they'll stop. It is really unlikely that is going to happen. It is a myth. And like one day, does one day mean 18? Like,
no, for sure. Yeah. That's, I guess, what we kept telling ourselves. And, here we are. And,
but so many people probably told you that as well.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Like, my parents being probably the biggest ones. They, I guess grandparents just don't really like to hear their grandkids crying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Well, this is great. I'm happy. You answered a lot of my questions. One was like, where do I start? And you said make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was asking about tips and tricks, but we know that that's
I wish I could do it. Like really, but it would just be I don't like selling, I don't like giving bullshit. And I will never be like, yeah, just do a couple quick things and then it's over. It's like that just says a lie to you and then you'll be mad at me after.
yeah, no, for sure. And then I guess my other one was like how to keep it going, like how to keep the momentum going. But you spoke to that in terms of incentives and disincentives. So I think that like I have a solid starting line
Yeah.
at least.
The other thing too is like to know that children are always pushing limits. So let's say you get a month out of this, and then the next month they're pushing back on something. So it's like, no, I want to be in your bed. That's when it is actually the hardest to stay consistent because you've had a month of sleep and you're like, what's the problem in just one night? Don't do it. You have to pretend it's a night one every time. So that will. Sorry. I've been doing this a little while. So like I will have I'll have clients who like, oh yeah, things are great, and then it was just like one bad night, and we thought it would like, what's the harm in that? And again, it's not me making these rules. I don't make the rules. I wish we could have one night. How cute would it for me to bring my kid into my bed and be like, let's snuggle for just a night? Kids do not understand gray. They are like, it's either this or it's this. And you let me do this every day and now you don't want to. I'm not going to comply.
No, for sure. Consistency, I feel is
Yeah.
definitely very important for sure. Especially when you're trying to change a behavior.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah. I feel like I know all the answers. It's just a matter of putting them to work
It's hard
and
though.
staying committed
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard even when you work with a consultant. It's hard. It's just hard stuff in general. But I feel like you're ready. And so is your partner, and so this is the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. They need to get out of my bed. No, it's funny. Like they're also two. They both want to close sleep, but they have two different ways of like doing it. Olivia is like really in your face, and Lucas is like the little quiet ninja who you'll roll over and you'll be like, oh, when did he get here? Where she makes it known when
Yeah.
she's coming. So yeah, I like the point as well. Just to recap about doing one at a time.
Mhm.
Like I need to get one doing and then I guess work on the other also because they're different, right?
Mhm.
And I'm assuming their plan may be different, right? Depending on
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, for that age and stage, I would probably follow a relatively similar methodology of weaning slowly, because both have been co-sleeping. I mean, in general, co-sleeping, I always recommend weaning slowly. But for both of them, I would recommend generally the same plan. You're just probably gonna get a little more buy-in and it be a lot faster with your oldest.
okay.
Amazing. Well, Petra, you've been amazing. And believe it or not, you have helped like 1,000 people or however many people are listening to this podcast or watching this. So thank you so much. Like always, guys, you can find me at Baby's Best Sleep online. I have a blog. I have a ton more podcasts. But as always, if you like what you are hearing or watching, please like, subscribe, and review. Leave me a note if you're a co-sleeper. And if this was helpful, leave me a note if it wasn't helpful. That's fine too. I like to know that stuff too. Have a good one. And thank you so much, Petra. Thank you again. See you.